Hey everybody, my name is Tate Emmons, and we're excited to partner with Singing News TV to bring you a brand new series called Legends. It's 10 episodes and 10 legends. We'll have an inside look on some of the living legends of Southern gospel music. You'll hear their stories directly from them, and we might even sing a song together. So subscribe to Singing News TV and check out Legends today. Hey everybody, my name is Tate Emmons, and welcome to Singing News TV, where today we'll be spending time with one of the living legends of Southern gospel music. Their stories are fascinating, their songs never get old, and their contributions have been priceless. Today we look past one person, we look past a group, we look to an event that has been legendary in status. It started in 1957 in Memphis, Tennessee to showcase the best quartets in gospel music, but it soon evolved to be more. It's the granddaddy of them all. Today we're in Pigeon Forge, Tennessee at the LeConte Center to celebrate the legend of the National Quartet Convention. Hey everybody, my name is Tate Emmons, and welcome to the season finale of Legends. And today we have the director of the National Quartet Convention, Brother Clarke Beasley. It is an honor to be with you, be in your presence today. You're going to be talking about...
Be in my presence. Wow. Don't build me up too much, Tate.
Well, we're going to talk about National Quartet Convention today, if that's okay.
Sure.
But first, I want to get to know more about you. Now, the Beasley name carries a lot of weight in Southern gospel music, and I know you have a deep heritage in this industry. So tell us where you come from and your family's role in Southern gospel music.
Well, whatever weight the Beasley name carries is due to my father. There's no question about that. Of course, Les Beasley was my father. Longtime lead singer and manager of the Florida Boys, producer of the Gospel Singing Jubilee for a lot of years. That's probably his sentinel achievement there, is that TV show that was syndicated coast to coast and border to border, for almost 20 years. And that was back when there were only 2 or 3 things to watch on Sunday morning on TV. So it had a viewing audience of tens of millions of people. And so I was brought up in it. Dad took me on the road with him for the first time when I was 3 years old. And when I wasn't in school, I was on the road with him and started performing with them when I was 15. And did that until I graduated from college, and then after college, I traveled with them full-time for a year, and then came off the road, went to Nashville, and went to work with the Gospel Music Association. And my 2 years there at GMA, I really consider that the continuance of my education. That's kind of what I consider my graduate degree, because that's where I got my experience in planning and directing conventions with, at that time they were doing Gospel Music Week that culminated in the Dove Awards and all. So spent 2 years there, and right at the time when the NQC board made the decision that it was time to leave Nashville and go to Louisville, they hired me at that time to take over the convention and bring all promotion and coordination elements in-house. It had been farmed out and decentralized for a period of time there. They wanted it brought all in-house, and so I set up the Louisville office, and I did that in '93, and I've been with NQC ever since.
Brother Clarke, let's talk more about the National Quartet Convention. It began in 1957, and there were some big names involved. Tell us how the National Quartet Convention came to be.
Sure. Well, it was J.D. Sumner's idea. And J.D. had grown up going to Church of God annual meetings and camp meetings in the summer. And it was a time where everybody in that denomination would gather together, for one annual convening. And he wanted to create something like that for gospel music. That was his idea, that was his vision. He wanted to create a gathering, a convening of the entire industry at one place, at one time, at one event, and to serve 2 purposes. One, it would be an important business forum for the industry if we were all gathered together, at one time a year. And at the same time, it would also provide one-stop shopping for the gospel music fan and supporter, where they could see all their favorites at one time, at one place, and one event. So it started in '57. It was an immediate success. Fortunately, he was able to convince the Blackwood brothers to underwrite it, and take on the project. And that very first year in Ellis Auditorium was interesting because it had a stage that would perform to 2 different theaters.
Really?
And in that first year, attendance was such that they opened up both theaters So in essence, it created kind of a de facto center stage. And so it was successful, right from the beginning. And I'm amazed that all these years later, after all the changes that have taken place in that intervening time, NQC is still very much true to that original vision JD had. Right. It is a convening for the industry. It's one-stop shopping for the supporter. And I'm most pleased with that because that it just shows what a visionary JD was. Mm-hmm. That he had a vision for this, and that vision still remains true today.
Yes, sir. So let's talk about the journey of the NQC. It started in Memphis, Tennessee, but like you mentioned, it changed the locations a bunch. Tell us about the journey.
Well, it started out in Memphis, and then like 3 or 4 years later, it had 1-year stints in Atlanta, 1 year in Birmingham, then settled back in Memphis and was there until about 72. And in that year, it moved to Nashville. And it was in Nashville until the last year in Nashville was 93. Mm-hmm. And the NQC board at that time thought that there was opportunity for expansion if we had room to grow. And we had fully maxed out the municipal auditorium in Nashville at that time. So they identified Louisville. Louisville, you had Freedom Hall with 18,000 seats. You had exposition surrounding Freedom Hall that had it ultimately reached 1 million square feet under roof. Wow. After that. So, we moved to Louisville in 94. 94 was our first year there. Our evening concert attendance doubled and our exposition quadrupled in that first year.
Wow.
So, and then we set attendance records all throughout the 90s from that point forward. So it was a wonderful period of expansion for us, and during the peak years, we had 18,000 on peak. And, for the evening concerts, we had over 450 exhibitors, 175,000 square feet of exhibit space. So those were wonderful years in Louisville. We decided, as we approached 2010, 2011, one of the drawbacks of Freedom Hall was it was a very tired building. And in fact, they were allowed to not meet ADA requirements because there had been no renovation on it since like '88. So we were experiencing a lot of falls in the balcony. The balcony in Freedom Hall, it didn't even have handrails or lighted steps.
That's not safe.
It's not. And we had some very bad falls in the balcony. So we decided it was time to leave. We had our eye on the East Tennessee area, Pigeon Forge area for quite a while. There just wasn't a venue that could accommodate us. But with the building of the LeConte Center, which they finished up in 2012, I think had their first events at the end of 2012, we decided this was a place that at last would fit us and would accommodate us. It would allow us the benefit of having the convention located in a vacation destination where people wanted to go vacation anyway. So we moved here in 2014 was the very first show we had here. And that first year here, we sold out every night from Tuesday night to Saturday night. So LeConte Center and the city of Pigeon Forge has been a wonderful partner for us.
Yes, sir. Well, I want to go back a little bit. You mentioned that J.D. Sumner originally owned the NQC, mm-hmm. but in 1982, it was ran by a board mm-hmm. of people. Do you remember any of the people on that original board?
Oh, very well. Yeah, I sure do. J.D. had total ownership of it, ultimately sold it to J.G. Whitfield.
Okay.
And that was in the late 70s, and Whit owned it until about 81, 82. He realized that the convention should not be owned by one person. He called my dad, he called people like Claude Hopper and Glenn Payne and George Yantz and Rex Nealon and Charlie Burke. And that ownership team was assembled to buy into the convention and then leverage all of their knowledge about event production, about gospel music, about what the convention needed to be to kind of relaunch the convention. And so it started operating under that board format. And that, like you say, that happened in 82, and the convention started a growth pattern. Of course, you had those significant players in the industry, Brock Spear and Ben Spear with the Spear family. So, you know, you had these legendary names and they were all lending their expertise in gospel music, plus they spent all year promoting it, you know, and so, yeah, the convention grew from that point on, sold out Municipal Auditorium. I think our first sellout there was 85, 86, something like that, and sold out Thursday, Friday, and Saturday night regularly, you know, and it was that success that led to the eventual move to Louisville.
Yes, sir. Well, NQC is still run by a board today. Who are some of those members, if it's public knowledge? Who are some of the members that are running NQC today?
Sure, and we publish this in our program book every year. But the board consists of Gerald Wolfe, who serves as our president now, Michael Burke, who's the son of Charlie Burke, who was one of the original board, also Jim Brady, and Jeff Haney.
Okay.
Jeff Haney kind of took Don Shoemate's position, which we wanted an outside business perspective. You know, we wanted that kind of representation on the board, so he serves that role. Claude Hopper, of course, then Mark Trammell, myself. I forgot myself. Yeah, I'm on the board too. So.
Well, you're the
yes.
director of the board.
Gary Casto, I knew
Right.
I was forgetting one. Gary Casto with Tribute, hardest working guy in gospel music.
Great guy.
So yeah, that's the board, and that's who serves now. There's also, in addition to those guys, there's about 17 other trustees who, and we have biannual trustee meetings. They're also involved, you know, in the convention as well. So again, the more expertise you have sitting around the table, the better off you are. Scripture says there's safety in the multitude of counselors.
That's right.
So we've always sought that multitude of counselors, you know.
Yes, sir. So the National Quartet Convention started as an opportunity to showcase the best quartets in gospel music, but over the years it evolved, and when you go to National Quartet Convention now, you see not only quartets, but mixed groups, family groups, duos, trios, soloists, so much diversity. Do you think NQC is a good representation of the best in Southern gospel music?
Well, that was the goal from the beginning, and it's a mischaracterization to say it was only quartets in the beginning, because it was not only quartets in the beginning.
Okay.
That very first year, you had the Spear family involved, so you had family groups involved. You had, I believe, the Johnson sisters were part of that first year. You know, you had, of course, the Couriers. I don't know if they were there the first year, but they came on board real soon thereafter. That was a trio. So what convention was intended to be is a showcase of gospel music's top artists. You know, that was the intent. That's how JD envisioned it. And that is what we try to do to the best of our ability. Put on stage the artists that people most want to see.
Yes, sir, and you sure do. Well, how about this? We're going to take just a small break. We'll be right back with the season finale of Legends.
Turning Point Ministries presents the National Quartet Convention, returning to a premier vacation destination, Pigeon Forge, Tennessee, and returning to a center stage. Headlining the main stage are Greater Vision, The Hoppers, Mark Trammell Quartet, Jim and Melissa Brady, Triumphant, Ernie Haas and Signature Sound, Collingsworth Family, the Gaither Vocal Band, Tribute, and many others, plus gospel music's largest marketplace. Many spectacular daytime showcases, including the Gaither Homecoming Sing-Along, the Singing News Fan Awards, the SGMA Hall of Fame induction ceremony, and keynote speakers like Dr. Robert Jeffress and Dr. David Jeremiah. Reserve your seats today. Visit nqconline.com or call 800-846-8499.
The Southern Gospel Promoters Association, supporting the very best in Southern gospel music, organized to help, encourage, and provide information to Southern gospel promoters and work as a unified body to make a greater success of the concert arena. Follow us on Facebook at Southern Gospel Promoters Association. And for everything we have going on, follow us on the web at sgpromoters.com. sgpromoters.com. Come be a part of this great music with us. Dreaming of an unforgettable getaway filled with music, faith, and breathtaking ocean views? Join Tate Emmons aboard the Harmony at Sea 2026 cruise. Setting sail February 23rd through the 28th on the Carnival Freedom. We're heading to Celebration Key, Nassau, and the stunning Half Moon Cay. A trip that's part paradise, part praise, and all unforgettable. Alongside Tate Emmons, enjoy the Browders, the Allens, Right Road Quartet, Danny Funderburk, Heart to Heart, the Seiler family, and more. Be sure to register with Tate Emmons so you can be part of his special onboard events and exclusive experiences. Expect live concerts, powerful worship, artist meet and greets, and plenty of fun at sea. Whether you're soaking up the sun or singing under the stars, this is a trip you don't want to miss. Cabins are limited, so book now. Visit www.praise.events or call 865-278-3681 and sign up with Tate Emmons to set sail for a week of music, inspiration, and adventure. Harmony at Sea 2026, where faith, music, and fun come together.
Hey everybody, my name is Tate Emmons and welcome back to the season finale of Legends, and today we have Brother Clarke Beasley. Now in 1993, you became the director of the National Quartet Convention. How did that come about?
I wish I knew. 24 years old, dumber than a bag of hammers, and they looked at me and said, "We want you to run things." I mentioned before I had spent a couple of years at GMA. Mm-hmm. And boy, gathering that knowledge, convention direction, and that I was able to pick up there at GMA was really crucial to assembling the skills I needed, to run the convention. And really, it was, I have to give credit to Maurice Templeton. It was his idea. And he really led the initiative to move it to Louisville. And of course, he got everybody on board with that real soon when they saw the advantages that offered. And then he also had the idea of, look, instead of farming promotion out here, instead of farming ticket sales out here and having all these multiple contractors, let's bring it all in-house. Let's have one office run it.
Okay.
And he pointed to me and said, this is the guy we need to do that, to establish our office in Louisville, to bring everything in-house, promotion coordination, everything involved in running the convention, have a staff do it, and have me lead it.
What a moment that was.
Oh, wow, it really was. And what's funny about it is the only guy that was a hard sell on that idea was my dad. and Dad said, this is the ironic thing. Everybody's going to think I got you the job, and I'm the only one that has reservations about you doing it. But that was kind of funny. But no, he wasn't really a hard sell. He was very sensitive to the fact that people would think this is nepotism, and he didn't want that for me, So, but he eventually came around, and so, I took over that position in '93, and the first thing I did was establish that Louisville office. Now, the last year in Nashville was '93. Mm-hmm. So there was a transition period where I was handling all the organization for the '94 convention. Existing management was handling the wrapping up of the '93 convention.
Okay.
And so once the '93 convention wrapped, then it was all about the following year and the opening in Louisville. And so we had by the time the '93 convention wrapped, we had a staff in Louisville that was managing ticket sales, and I was managing, artist coordination, exhibit sales, promotion, and everything that goes with that. So that happened in '93, and then '94 convention happened, and it was there were some growing pains. When you have something that quadruples in size, like our exposition did, and doubles in size, like our evening concert attendance does. There's things you don't anticipate,
Right.
But we met our file server crashing the day before our peak day in '94.
That's unfortunate.
Didn't anticipate that. That was a growth opportunity for me there. Mm-hmm. So, but God got us through it somehow, and it went on to some great years there in Louisville.
Well, Brother Clarke, as long as you've been alive, you've probably been to most National Quartet conventions. And over those years, do you have any favorite memories or any conventions that shine out of another?
Yeah, several. It would be hard to pin it down to one. Probably during my tenure, the standout moment was the Cathedral's final performance in '99, and that was such a special moment because there was never had it happened before where the #1 group in the industry retires, being #1, and they announced their retirement, and then so it was their last stand on the convention stage, and Glenn Payne couldn't be there. He was in the hospital. He would pass away the following month, about 6 weeks later. But from the hospital bed, he called in during their stand. And that's probably the standout moment for me. And he talked to George. They talked back and forth. The audience heard it, and then George asked him to sing "I Won't Have to Cross Jordan Alone." Mm-hmm. And he sang that over the phone.
Wow. It
was a moment that everybody who was there will never forget that moment, So that's probably the standout moment. The other one that really stands out was 2001, because 9/11 happened on the second day of convention during 2001. And I'll remember the planes landing that day. There was air traffic like we had never experienced before, because President Bush ordered all air traffic to land. So Louisville is a big airport. It's the primary UPS hub, so it's got a long runway. It can accommodate all aircraft, So man, planes were landing like crazy, and then all of a sudden silence. And we were accustomed to hearing airplane noise, air traffic taking off and landing during convention, and then the rest of that week it was just silent. And I'll never forget that silence. I was concerned that day that they would shut the facility and we would have to close the convention. And I was really concerned about that, because that was happening. Mm-hmm. Governors were shutting down public facilities, mayors were shutting down public facilities. And of course, after we got the news, I received a call that the facility director at Freedom Hall in the Kentucky Expo Center wanted to see me, and I thought, oh boy, here it comes. They're going to shut down the convention. So I grabbed Dad. I said, why don't you go with me to this meeting? Because there was a certain gravity to his presence that I thought might come in handy mm-hmm. during that meeting. And so we went to that meeting. Fortunately, they were not planning. The governor did not shut down the Kentucky Expo Center. And I've been told we were one of the events of any appreciable size that occurred as scheduled that night. And so he did brief us on additional security protocols. Anything box truck or larger would be searched. Any bags, any backpack or larger would be searched coming in. And all of their security protocols made sense. So we fully supported those. I got a briefing on what the FBI recommended if anybody called in a bomb threat and that type of thing. Of course, we'd never dealt with anything like that before. But fortunately, and I will forever be thankful of the fact that we were allowed to continue, because that night were some of the most special performances we've ever had on the NQC stage. One in particular, the Florida Boys had a song called Declaration of Dependence, and take on the fact that we declare Declaration of Independence as a nation, but every Christian needs to declare a declaration of dependence on God. And so that was a very moving performance that night. But I'll never forget Gerald Wolfe's performance of Redemption Draweth Nigh. Mm-hmm. That song, against the backdrop of the day's events, was very powerful. Yes. So those are a couple of the standout things during my tenure.
Yes, sir. Well, I'm going to switch it up a little bit. And a fun fact about National Quartet Convention is it's not limited to the last week of September. There's several NQC events during the year, like their spring break and different events. Tell us about those.
Yeah, well, we started doing that. The first time we did that was the West Coast Convention out in Fresno, California. We did that in '97 and did that for about 5 or 6 years. And then actually Dad and Claude took that over, and ultimately Mike and Dean Hopper ran that afterwards. But that was our first venture into doing other events. That went really well. And then in '99, we started the Western Canadian Gospel Convention in Red Deer, Alberta. And that, I'll always have fond memories of that.
That's cool.
That was, that first year we had 7,000 people in there.
Wow.
And it was really kind of a, you know, a 3/4 scale model of NQC, you know, because we had an exposition in there, had several exhibitors, had a lot of Canadian fans in there. And during the performances, they started doing the wave. And nobody told them to do it. They just started doing it. You know what?
NQC doing the wave.
Yeah, well, I mean, I forget on what song, but it was one of those hand clapper foot stompers, and they just started doing the wave. never forget that. So, yeah, and we did that one for several years. We do a concert series out in just east of Dallas in Terrell, Texas. That called Lake Country Jubilee, and that's been going on for several years. The promoter out there, Harold Marshall, who just turned 90. You wouldn't believe he's 90, but he wanted some help in continuing that on, and we definitely didn't want to see that concert series go away. So, yeah, we do that one. We do an event up in Shipshawana in partnership with Blue Gate Theater up there in the fall. So, yeah, we'll continue to do other things here and there. Of course, our attention, our focus will always be NQC.
Yes, sir. Yeah. Well, let's talk about NQC 2025. What can people expect this year?
You know, we're doing some things that we've never done before this year that I'm really excited about. Last year, we themed Wednesday night, and the theme was a night of hits. Only the top artists doing only their most requested songs and giving them extended sets to do them. And that was a gangbuster success. Actually, Wednesday night was our peak night. Wow. Last year, and that's never happened before. It's always been a Thursday or Friday night that's been our peak night. But Wednesday was our peak night last year. So what we decided to do this year is theme all the nights. So of course, Sunday night is our kickoff. Monday night is all quartet night. Wow. Now we did this for several years back in Louisville, and so we're bringing that back. So Monday night's going to be all quartets. Tuesday night is going to be Heard It on the Radio. So we're going to feature the artists that have had a lot of radio play over the last year, and they're going to sing songs that have been popular on radio. You know, so that's Tuesday night. Wednesday night, something we've never done before, and I'm kind of interested to see if we're going to be able to pull this off, but we're going to give it our best shot. We're calling it Primetime Live.
Okay.
All music on NQC stage is going to be live on Wednesday night. There will be no soundtracks, no stacks or stems, nothing like that.
Huh.
And so the artists that don't normally perform that way, we're going to have a house band of studio musicians led by Trey Ivy, and they're going to perform with the artists. So, like I said, we've never done anything like that before, so really excited about that.
That's going to be really good. I'm excited about that. That's cool.
Yeah. Thursday night, we're calling that Variety Night. We're going to span the spectrum of soloists, duos, trios, quartets, anything. We're going to have everything but dancing elephants, you know, on Thursday night. So
and you might get that before.
Well, if we can find them, you know.
You can find
them. Friday night's going to be our night of hits. We're returning to that.
Okay.
Boy, Friday is going to be a special day. Of course, David Jeremiah is coming back as our keynote speaker. And Turning Point, his national ministry, is our title sponsor again this year. And we're just thrilled with that partnership with Turning Point Ministries. So Dr. Jeremiah will be our keynote speaker, and then Bill Gaither is coming back and doing a Gaither Homecoming sing-along.
Good.
So he'll be presenting that again Friday, and then Friday night, that's going to be our night of hits. So we're going to do an encore of that. So only the top artists doing only their most requested songs. The Gaither Vocal Band will be performing that night. So that's kind of a return to the past as well. For a long time, it was Gaither Homecoming on Friday afternoon and vocal band on Friday night, you know. So it's kind of a return to that. And then Saturday is our grand finale, and we're going to conclude everything. And this is kind of breaking news. We haven't announced this publicly yet, but...
Are you saying Legends will be the first place we've ever heard?
You got the scoop. You're getting the scoop.
Praise God.
And you didn't even ask for it.
This is a big scoop. This is a great scoop.
So the grand finale, the conclusion, will be a tribute to Squire Parsons.
Wow. That's going to be special.
That's how we're going to conclude the convention this year.
Wow.
So, yeah.
National Quartet Convention will be legendary this year. This is really going to be good. Now, To the person who's watching this who's not going or is thinking about going, give your best pitch to them right now.
Gospel music's largest annual event, bringing 40,000 people from 40 states and half a dozen foreign countries to a week-long spectacular festival in Pigeon Forge, Tennessee, at the gateway of the Great Smoky Mountains. All the information's available at nqconline.com. How's that?
That's as good as it gets right there. It don't get better than that. Okay, look, one thing real quick before we go. Has National Quartet Convention found its forever home in Pigeon Forge?
Well, forever's a long time. But I tell you, we're in the middle of a 10-year contract now. And we've just received some exciting news about facility expansion that's going to be undertaken by the facility here. Of course, those that were here at the very first year know that the LeConte Center, both inside and outside, is a very different facility from what it was that first year. A lot of improvements have been made while we've been here. They're going to further expand this facility, and the construction phase on that will start next year. So, you know, Pigeon Forge and the LeConte Center has been such a great partner. I see us probably being here for a while longer. Yeah.
Yes, sir. Brother Clarke, we appreciate you so much. It has been a great time being with you.
Oh, man. Yeah, and thank you for having me. I really appreciate it.
It's really been great. Thank you for watching this special edition, the season finale of Legends.
Hey, you know, another thing that's happening at NQC this year is Gospel Music's biggest day, Singing News Fan Awards, and a personal friend of mine is nominated, I understand.
Well, it's a great honor to be in the top 5 young artists. It's truly great. Look, before we go, can you give a pitch for the Singing News Fan Awards too?
Absolutely. That's on Wednesday afternoon, Gospel Music's most anticipated day. That'll be during our Wednesday showcases. So check that out. We look to see you there and get your acceptance speech ready.
Well, goodness. Wednesday will be a big day.
Yes, it will.
Hey everybody, my name is Tate Emmons, and I want to thank you for watching Legends. It has been the true honor of my life and the greatest privilege over the past couple of months and weeks to go talk to these legends, hear their stories, and get to know them. We're drinking water out of wells that we did not dig. And through this series, we went and honored those people that have dug those wells and has made it today where we are in Southern Gospel music. I want to thank everybody who made this happen, our crew, our advisors, everybody that encouraged us to do it. I want to thank the legends who made it happen. I want to thank the good Lord above. Only He could draw something up like this. And I want to thank you so much for every week sitting down with us and watching Legends. We don't want to see this come to the end. We want to do a season 2, but we have to have your help. If you'd like to help us, if you'd like to sponsor us, please reach out to us or Singing News TV to make this happen. But until then, we say thank you for watching Legends.